Indonesians, they're very friendly. If you're nice to them, they'll be nice to you, especially coming from a different country. They'll really respect that you're making an effort to learn their language, to learn their customs, and just to get to know them as a person. They'll really value someone caring about them, and I think they're very loyal. Once they're your friend, they're going to be your friend, and they'll really care for you. They're generally very hospitable. Once you form a good relationship with them, it's going to last, in my experience. One thing that's kind of confusing and frustrating at times is they're very non-confrontational. So if you contact someone on the streets or on a bus or whatever, and you get to the point in the conversation where you can kind of say, could we share a message with you sometime? Ask for their number, or can we stop by your house? They'll almost always say yes, or at least they'll give you their number, but in all reality, they have no interest. So it's kind of difficult that way, just because they want to be so polite to you. They want to be nice to you, and it's hard for them to openly reject, to openly say, no, I'm not interested. Don't come to my house. No, you can't have my number, things like that. So if you're persistent and kind of bold, you'll generally get there they'll accept some sort of invitation, but it doesn't always mean they're going to follow through with it. I'm sure that's true in several areas of the world. But yeah, I love Indonesian people. Just some of the quirky things that we've mentioned earlier about their culture, you just come to love it. They're very strong on family, which is awesome as well. Islam puts a lot of emphasis on family, just like our religion. So that's one thing that they have in common. And they'll really respect their family, which makes missionary work difficult at times if the whole family's not interested and only a single member or part of the family is interested, because there's a strong loyalty there. And yeah, they're different than what you'll have here, but you'll come to love the differences. I just think cheerfulness is just kind of, when I think of Indonesians, I just kind of think of cheerful and happy and just kind of silly, maybe. It's kind of, I don't want to say immature, but kind of immature in a good way. I don't know, it's weird. It's good though. One experience that I just thought of earlier. So we got to Indonesia, and like I said, you kind of stay in Jakarta for a few days till you get I think it's your KTP is what it's called. It's some sort of card that means you can stay there and you can be a missionary. So I was done with that, and I was flying. One thing that's different is you'll fly to a lot of your areas because it's very spaced out geographically. So I'd been in Indonesia for maybe a week. So obviously the language was still not there, and I was still like just out of sorts maybe. But so I got transferred from Jakarta to an area called Surabaya, which is Jakarta is on the far western part of Java. Surabaya is far east, on the east coast. So I'm flying, it's like a 2.5-3 hour flight, I want to say, and I'm going by myself because no one else is transferring out that way. And so one of the missionaries at the mission home, calls a taxi. I get in the taxi and head to the airport by myself, and I'm pretty nervous about it just because I don't have a cell phone, so I can't contact anybody. I don't speak Indonesian, so I'm kind of sending up some prayers. It's getting dark already because I left later in the day. So I get to the airport, get on my flight just fine, and I land in Surabaya, and it's well past dark. And I'm supposed to just take a taxi from the airport to the mission home. No one's there to pick me up or anything like that. So I get off the airplane. I'm in the airport, and I have to go pull some money out so I can pay the taxi driver. So I go to the ATM, and my debit card apparently hasn't been activated yet, or it was some kind of hold. I don't know. It wouldn't pull money out. So I'm sitting in the airport with no money. It's probably past the time missionaries are supposed to be back to their apartments by. So I'm kind of getting uneasy, and I really didn't know what to do. Tried to use a payphone, didn't work. And so I'm kind of just sitting there with my luggage in the airport, however many million miles away from home, been there a week, and just kind of, I was scared. I was just scared. I really was. And I'm just praying intensely that something like, I kept going back to the ATM, just like, please work, be a miracle. Didn't happen. So I'm just sitting there, and I'm like looking around, and I catch this guy's eye. He's kind of looking at me, and he comes over, and he says something in English. I don't remember what he said. It was very broken English. I tried to respond in Indonesian, and he just like grabs his cell phone out and hands it to me without like really me telling him to. So he just hands me his cell phone, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. Call my mission president, because I had his number written down, tell him the story, and he's like, okay, I'll call the missionaries there and tell him, what the situation is. And he said he'd like check on my card and see if he can fix it and have me pull some money out or whatever. So I hang up without resolving the problem, and this guy's kind of still staring at me like he's just thinking, and he kind of just motions to me, come with me. So I don't know what to do, so I just followed him. He goes to this counter in the airport where you can order taxis. It's like a taxi service there. And in broken English, he was like, asked me where I wanted to go. So I handed him the address of the mission house. And I didn't know what he was doing. He was just talking to some lady. And then he motions to me again to follow him. So I follow him to this taxi. He pops open the trunk, throws my luggage in, and opens the door for me. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, I think he told me in English. He must have spoken a little bit of English, but he assured me like he's like, get in, this is going to take you where you need to go. He had paid for it already. So the overlying, I got in the taxi, and it took me straight to the mission home. No problems. I didn't have to pay or anything. So again, Indonesians, they're helpful, they're friendly, but the bigger thing would be, you don't need to be afraid, because God obviously is going to be looking out for you. So I don't know why I thought of that, but I don't know. Everything, it's hard sometimes, but it's crazy. It's fun. And God's going to watch over you is what I learned from that.